Today we're going to be taking a look at Clover OS, which is a Gen 2 based Linux distribution created by G, 4chan's technology board. We can read a bit about Clover OS right here on their website. Why would you choose Clover OS? Well, it's as default as possible to a Gen 2 install, without you obviously needing to take the time and have the knowledge to successfully install Gen 2 and build it all from a TTY. It has all of its configuration done in etc portage make.conf, which leads me to believe that we're still going to have Portage, the same package manager used in Gen 2, and probably still be building our packages from source. I wonder if we also are going to have access to use flags so that we can compile our packages with those specific settings. It has a simple desktop with a large variety of packages available, just emerge and run. So that's pretty much going to confirm that it is indeed Portage, which is going to be our package manager on here. And there is no bloat. A Clover OS desktop just has OpenRC, FVWM, UDEV, DHCP, CD, and WPA supplicant running. I am familiar with most of these packages, but not FVWM. That sounds like it's probably going to be a window manager, because I don't see any other desktop environment or window manager listed here, and I'm sure that it has one. Otherwise, we would just have a TTY. Clover OS is pest-free, so if you don't need systemd, pulse audio, dbus, AVAHI, or NLS, then Clover OS doesn't need it either. And that's pretty good. It doesn't have bloated software on it, bloated software that I personally don't really like to do, or like to use rather. And it has performance optimization, so all the packages are going to be built with OFast, LTO, and Graphite, or the next best C flags that are available. So that's pretty good. We don't have to go and install the LTO overlay like I showed you guys how to do in Gen 2. And that's actually a one-up over Gen 2 in my opinion, because so many packages do indeed work with LTO, Graphite, and at least O3. I would suspect that they would work with OFast as well, since the differences between O3 and OFast are very minuscule. I really wish that Gen 2 would just start building packages that way by default and just use different C flags for the packages that don't support it, like Clover seems to be doing. So to download the ISO, simply click download right here, and that's going to give you the ISO from cloveros.ga, which is the website you would go to get it. The download speed is a little bit slow, so you might want to pause the video. That's another thing that I think that the devs here could do as a bit of an improvement, is to offer some type of torrent download, because that would probably give us better download speeds for the ISO. I was only getting about 5 to 10 megs per second, and I have a 1 gigabit connection, so it's pretty sad that I couldn't get a bit more saturation on that. But I've already downloaded the ISO, so let's go ahead and start with the virtual machine creation. So I'm going to go to new, and I'm just going to start calling it Gen 2 so that it'll automatically apply any Gen 2 specific settings, and then I'll change it back to Clover OS. And I'm going to give it 4 gigs of RAM, which should be more than enough considering this is supposed to be a minimal install based on Gen 2. Let's create a virtual hard disk, give it a fixed size. Let's give it 30 gigs, as we usually do for our test VMs. Create a virtual hard disk. And let's apply some other settings. So we'll go into our processor, give it 2 threads. We don't actually have to change that. Let's crank up our video memory, and let's go ahead and apply this ISO, Clover OS, the one that I downloaded earlier. And I think we're good there. So let's hit OK. Let's start this bad boy. as always, is going to start off screen for me. Okay, so we're basically greeted by the same type of screen that we would get with Gen 2. So let's just type Gen 2, and we see it loading. We don't have the little tuxes in the upper left-hand corner, so that's a bit of a shame. Wish they would include those guys there. They're fun to look at while it's loading. Okay, so this is definitely different. We actually have a whole desktop, well, not a desktop environment, but a whole GUI loaded in our live install. So let's see. I kind of want to look at some of these packages. We have Aurora here. Okay, that's pretty interesting. I thought that Aurora was deprecated because, to my understanding, it was a Firefox channel that was in between nightly builds from Mozilla in the beta versions. But as far as I know, it was discontinued in 2017. We have Porthole, which is a front end for Portage. Not very minimal, if you ask me. Anybody who's using Portage should be able to use it from the terminal. And we have this dirty bullshit of a text editor over here. Okay, I don't want to look at these programs anymore. In fact, let's do that just so we can cover up that nonsense. All right, let's go ahead and do automatic partitioning. Oh, let's see if we can also do a full screen. Okay, so right click is how we get an application menu. Let's see, can we do an X randar just so everything looks better? What? Oh, duh. Not okay, so we don't have that mode available yet. Never mind. Okay, so automatic partitioning. Yeah, we'll do automatic partitioning. Enter the drive to be formatted. Yeah, dev SDA, that's the right one. Is this correct? Yes. Enter the root password. Okay, wait a minute. Why is it printing out? Like, are you serious? You're going to echo my password into the terminal? Okay, now this is stupid because even I know how to set up an installation script where it doesn't echo out your password to standard output. I mean, this is really stupid that it's doing this. So, okay, preferred username, we'll do Kenny. Sure, let's set password for this. This is really, really stupid that it's echoing this. I don't think I've seen this in any other Linux installation. I mean, gosh, I can't get over how stupid that is. That's definitely going to affect the grade of Clover OS because it's not hard at all. Like, I am by no means an expert in shell scripting, and I know how to do that correctly. All right, so it's pulling in packages. Let's see. Okay, now it looks like it's starting to go a little bit faster. Hopefully this isn't going to actually build everything from source, because then this is going to take a while to install everything. Okay, it says it already created a bunch of directories, a bunch of files, a bunch of symlinks, a bunch of devices, and one FIFOS. Yeah, like right here, and it's echoing the... Come on, man. Do you really not know how to set passwords correctly in an installation script? All right, well, it said that it's all done. So let's... oh, yeah, I didn't set my disk priority correctly. That's what I meant to do. Well, whatever. We can just power it off, I guess. And then change that inside of our virtual machine settings. What makes this worse is the fact that this OS, or this distro rather, has been out for at least a year now, and the developer still hasn't fixed. Oh man, that's really frustrating me. All right. Hard disk is our first boot priority, so let's actually boot into this. Let's also see if it will set my resolution automatically. I'm hoping it does. Okay, so localhost. At least he's not printing my password here. That's good. And, oh, okay, so we get like automatic, what is this? Window manager options, Y equals default, I equals I3. Oh, okay, so you can actually select which window manager you want to use. Okay. You know what? Let's just do the default. Let's experience this the way that the developer intended us to experience it. Okay, and I have, again, a very, very tiny... Gosh, like, you can't even set my resolution automatically. All right, so how do I get a terminal? Oh, yeah, that's right. We have to right-click, and let's do URXVT. All right, let's see if I can actually get the proper resolution now. All right, I did, but it screwed up the wallpaper, but I really don't care about how the wallpaper looks. I mostly just care about having a terminal. And there's like some type of like bug with the, what is it, with the composite. It's like not loading correctly. All right, so, all right, so this is supposed to be a really, really minimal distro. Let's see. Let's get a footprint on it. Command not found htop. Okay, so we don't have htop. Do we have top? Okay, we do have top. So it looks like we're using about 98 megs of memory with essentially nothing running. I guess that's all right. I mean, I was able to get my Gen 2 build down to about 50 megs idle, but there's obviously a few differences between my Gen 2 build and Clover OS. I'm using a different window manager. I don't know if this, what is this window manager again? FVWM. I guess that the window manager is a little bit more bloated because, you know, I'm using DWM in mine, which is supposed to be the lightest window manager out there for the most part. I mean, this isn't a tiling window manager either, so maybe that has a little bit of something to do with it. Okay, so I'm curious to see what the what that make.conf looks like. Vim isn't found either. Okay, so you include Emacs, which is, don't even get me started on Emacs, but you don't have Vim. Do you at least have VI? Okay, let's see. Do we have VI? We do have Vim mode in our terminal. We don't have VI either. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's first install Vim, and hopefully this doesn't take a million years. Well, I guess we're gonna see whether or not it's building packages from source. Okay, it says emerging binary, so it's not actually building your packages from source. It's pre-compiled. Actually, I think that makes sense, because if I come back over here to the Firefox window with packages, it's got all these packages listed here, and then like if you click on one, it wants to download a tarball, so okay, that makes sense. So if it's all tarballs, then you probably can't do package.use or really any type of use flags for that matter because, well, otherwise tarballs obviously wouldn't work. All right, so let's look at not package.mask, make.conf. Let's see what's going on in here. Okay, so this looks very similar to a regular Gen 2 make.conf. Yeah, we have our common flags here, and then C flags and everything is inheriting that variable. We got port dir defined up there. Okay, so here is where it's doing the LTO and the graphite and the O3. Actually, I thought that this would be I thought it said O fast, but it's listing O3 here. Okay, that's interesting. So makeops, how come it set my makeops to J8? So obviously the dev of Clover OS is setting your makeops statically, and that is also really stupid because as you saw when I was creating this VM, I only gave it 2 threads. So if I was to actually somehow compile something, I mean, I guess it's not as stupid as it would be in Gentoo, since you actually are compiling everything from source there. But if I did try to compile a package on here, it's going to try to use 8 threads to compile that package, which means my system's going to poop itself because I don't have 8 threads dedicated to this VM. This is also stupid because if you have, like, if you're installing this to bare metal, right? Which I don't know if I'm going to recommend installing this to bare metal by the end because there's so many stupid things that I'm seeing so far. But let's say you had a Ryzen CPU, right? Ryzen CPUs are pretty cool. They've got tons and tons of threads. I think even like the average amount of threads for a Ryzen CPU, like not even a high-end one, like maybe mid-level or even budget is something like 16 threads. This is going to only use half of your threads that are available. And this is another thing, which, I mean, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm really just saying this to point out how easy it is to just do something not even super clever, just common sense, in my opinion, to set your makeops dynamically. Like, I'm able to do that with my deploy Gentoo script. It checks to see how many threads your CPU has, and then whatever that number is, it applies it to your makeops variable in your make.conf. So again, this seems kind of silly. It seems like we could have done this a little bit more intelligently. Okay, so then these are the mirrors, which, yeah, it's the mirrors for Clover OS. Okay, so let's quit out of this. I want to take a look at this right-click menu, because this seems like it's how you do everything. SM Player, what is this? This is like, this kind of looks like Windows Media Player almost. I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't have, does it have MPV? Okay, how do I change focus? Okay, so I guess that's how I change. Wait, no, still not focusing on. Okay, this is a little bit confusing, this window manager. Why am I not able to focus back on my, okay, here we go. That was weird. Do we have MPV? Okay, so we do also have MPV on here, so that's good. It does give you a very good video player. I don't know why it doesn't show up in the right-click menu. I guess it's because it's usually used as a terminal program anyway. Okay, so I thought that this was supposed to be a minimal distribution. Why does it have gparted? Because if it has gparted, that also means that it has whatever GNOME dependencies that gparted depends on, and GNOME is like the least minimal thing that exists in the Linux world. So I'm starting to doubt. I'm really starting to doubt this whole minimal claim that we have. All right, so this says Firefox now. I thought it was Aurora, and it still does kind of look like Aurora, and I don't understand how Maximize works in this window manager. Okay. So I definitely don't like this window manager so far. I would prefer to just have, DWM. I think DWM might have been in that list. I don't know. I didn't really read it. But yeah, I would definitely enjoy that over whatever FVWM, whatever this is. So let's see. Help and about nightly. Okay, so it's version 72, so it is also running an outdated browser because the latest version of Firefox as I'm making this video, is 78. So that's a little bit interesting. Do we have access to add-ons? Let's see. Okay, so we do have access to add-ons. That's pretty good. Oh, speaking of like Firefox and whatnot, oh, there's also font rendering is broken here. But I guess that's just because we're doing URXVT, so it probably doesn't have some type of emoji font. Okay, now I gotta figure out how to focus this terminal again. Okay, so we're focused. What SSL are we using? Okay, so it is using LibreSSL. That's pretty cool. I didn't see that mentioned anywhere on the main page for Clover OS. So now I want to do a bit of an experiment, which this isn't specific to Clover OS in any way, but I want to see. Oh, I thought that we had a Vim mode. We don't. We have a partial VI mode. I couldn't do I to go straight to the beginning. Like, let me see. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't VI mode at all. Okay, this is some other type of nonsense going on here. I want to see if we can actually build, or not build, but if we can actually install KDN Live. Because for some reason on Gentoo, when you do LibreSSL, KDN Live doesn't work, and I don't get it. I don't get what LibreSSL even has to do with KDN Live. Like, I don't even understand why you need to have internet access with KDN Live, or why you would need the network stack to be there in the first place. So let's see if we can emerge it on Clover OS, or if we're going to get the same types of errors. Okay, and we did, which is this long verbose conflict thing which complains about Qt core and all this jazz. So, okay, I guess it really is true that KDN Live doesn't work with LibreSSL. So I guess I'm going to have to come up with using a different video editor if I'm going to start using Gentoo as my main OS on hardware. Let's take a look at some of these other default apps. Okay, so Max, I'm not going to touch Max. You guys already know how I feel about that. What is stats.sh? Oh, okay, cool. So that gives us the information across the top. Wallpaper. Okay, let's see. Can I fix the wallpaper? Okay, cool. Yeah, so we'll fix that wallpaper so it doesn't look stupid. Resolution. Okay, I guess gotta change the resolution that way. Okay, and they have X set up so that it can go, well, it can go past 4K actually. It can go to, is this like 5K, I think? Maybe 6K? I don't know. That's pretty cool. It definitely would need better font rendering though, because the font is really, really small. Let's see. Desktop, what does this do? Okay, so this just gives us icons. Is this PCman FM? No, this isn't PCman FM. All right, what file manager is this? Ah, Space FM, okay. I mean, sure, Space FM, that's a pretty good file manager. No real complaints there, although PCman FM I probably would appreciate a bit more. So yeah, this porthole, seriously, isn't this supposed to be a minimalist? Because, okay, here's the thing, right? Porthole is just a front end for portage. Okay, so it's just like the software store that you would see on Linux Mint. Now, on a distro like Linux Mint or on a distro like Ubuntu, it makes perfect sense for you to have something like that because it makes it easier for the user. It makes it more user-friendly because, you know, doing things in a terminal like this is scary to noobs. But Clover OS is not a distro that is meant for noobs. I mean, it's Gentoo based. It's got LibreSSL and it's got this, well, I was gonna say that because it has Libre SSL and the LTO that you're not gonna be able to get as many packages, but it did say that it tries to build other packages with other settings, but I still doubt that you're going to have as many packages available to you in Clover as Ubuntu or Mint or like Debian, any of these other user-friendly distros. So why are we using Porthole, right? Like, this is supposed to be for kids that are browsing G all day and, you know, basically being cool, like hacker man LARPers. Like, no, Porthole shouldn't be installed with this. It just seems silly. We have GIMP. So this is another program that I like. And it's 2.10. Okay, so it's using a fairly new version of GIMP. That's pretty good. Xarchive. Yeah, like, again, why do you have this? You can just use the terminal-based. I mean, you can just unzip. You can just tar. You don't need to have an actual GUI-based archive tool. And this goes doubly for gparted. Like, gparted is, I don't know what this guy was smoking when he decided to include gparted in this, but that really doesn't make any sense. Program list. Okay, so what do we have going on here? Nitrogen. Okay. Sandbox. Okay, yeah, Vim shows up now that I installed that. WeChat. Does that not show up? Or I think maybe that's a terminal-based program. Okay. RTorrent, I know that's a terminal-based program. Volume. Why do we have a GUI-based volume thing when we could totally just use our terminal for that, right? I mean, don't we have... Yeah, so why not just use also mixer? Quaz Mixer, okay. That's another fairly interesting program choice. Tools. Okay, we have a screenshot utility. Flip coin. Interesting. Set time. Password generator. Okay. That might be pretty useful. I think someone was actually mentioning password generator to me, saying that it was better than like KeyPass XC or something. I don't know. I'd have to really take a look at it to see. Okay, here's another example of what I'm talking about here when it comes to like pretending to be minimalist but not really. So they have top, but I'm pretty sure they don't have htop, right? Yeah, they don't have htop. So why include all this bloated nonsense software like Xarchiver and Porthole, which is like clearly bloated, right? You can do these types of things in the terminal and you don't require all this GUI nonsense built upon it. But you don't include htop, which, yeah, I get it. Like, if you're smart or not smart, but you don't really need htop. Like, top is more than sufficient. But htop looks nicer, right? If you're going to be posting in some type of desktop thread, chances are what you're going to do is you're going to have you're not going to have GIMP open. If you're going to post in a desktop thread on G, what you're probably going to have is, God, I really don't like this window manager. So you're going to have your NeoFetch, which, of course, NeoFetch isn't installed, so let's install that. You're gonna have your NeoFetch. You're going to have, might as well get htop going at the same time too. So you're gonna have that. You're gonna have, you know, your why can I not type in the window focusing is so confusing here for me. Like, it's, oh, did I just switch to a different workspace? Okay, so this isn't really a criticism of Clover. This is just I don't know how to use this particular window manager. But basically, you know, if you're gonna be on G, right, you're gonna like be in here, and you're going to you're going to have one of those open, and you're going to have one of these open, right? Why does it actually say Gentoo? This guy doesn't have his own NeoFetch? Okay, so you're going to have one of those open, and you're going to have one of these, well, you might as well make this smaller since it's Gentoo. But you're going to have, like, an HTOP open. So this is how you're going to have it set up, but you're missing 2 out of the 3 programs necessary to actually do this. So I guess it's time for my final conclusion on Clover OS. It kind of sucks, in all honesty. I mean, you're better off just installing Gentoo, or if that's too complicated for you or you don't have the time, use Fun2, right? Fun2 is basically Gentoo for people that don't want to actually go through all the work of installing Gentoo. Maybe I'll do a review of that distro next, but Clover OS, man, there's so many things. Stop echoing people's passwords into the terminal when they're setting it up. Stop pretending to be a minimalist distro when you have programs like Gparted and you know, all of this Emacs nonsense and like just all these bloated programs that you don't need. Maybe not use Aurora, like that's deprecated and you're installing a much older version of Firefox. Like why not just use regular Firefox, right? I mean, Aurora's not, as far as I know, it's not like a free software fork of it. That's would be IceCat or something like that. I mean, IceCat would make sense because then it's like, okay, you're trying to be a free software browser, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So I guess I would give this, I don't know, a C- or a D+. Like it's a pretty crappy distro. The only reason I can think of anyone would want to install this is for the lulz. But I hope you enjoyed this video, my review and installation of Clover OS. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe with the notification bell marked so that you know when new videos will come out, and share this video. Share it with people who are thinking of installing Clover OS so they don't waste their time with it. Definitely share it with people who do unironically use Clover OS, use it as a way to bully them, and definitely share with people who don't even know what Clover OS is so that they can be confused and so that they can realize just how technologically competent G really is. Bye now.